So Mike, why don't you tell us about your cactus story?
It's not even that good of a story. I went to open a window and I grabbed my cactus by accident. And,
by the top of it?
Yeah, I've done that lots before.
Just picked up a cactus.
I didn't pick it up. I'm not an absolute moron. I just like did that. And it hurt. I've done it before, but it still hurts. Like 3 days later, so I'm a bit worried. Normally just goes after like a day.
So let us know what your most moronic thing you've ever done is down in the comments below.
You name it. That's quite a common thing that people do. Did you name the cactus?
No, I just try to hold
that
it.
would be stupid, wouldn't it? Name the cactus.
BioWare Montreal, the studio now best known for the work on the not-so-hot Mass Effect Andromeda, has essentially been shut down. Yes, after announcing BioWare Montreal would no longer make any more Mass Effect games following Andromeda's frosty reception, EA has announced the studio will be merged with EA Motive. After Andromeda's release, EA relegated BioWare Montreal to being a support studio and shuffled around the staff to different EA teams. But this merger with Motive now means the BioWare Montreal studio is gone, once and for all. EA Motive are currently working on the single-player campaign for Battlefront 2, as well as their own unannounced Star Wars title. Motive is led by industry veteran Jade Raymond, who is best known for her work on Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. Also this week, BioWare veteran and Mass Effect designer Corey Gasper sadly passed away just the other day. In a blog post, BioWare said, "It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our friend and colleague Corey Gasper. Gasper is best known for designing the combat in Mass Effect and was promoted to lead designer for the upcoming Anthem."
So that's very sad. I mean, he was involved with the studio for a long time. He wasn't like a super senior like designer or anything up until like recently, which was Anthem. So that was his like first time he was the lead designer on it. Up until then, he'd been doing various other like subcategories like lead combat designer and things like that. He was involved in all the great BioWare games, Dragon Age Origins and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's very sad.
It's incredibly sad.
We're sad to hear it, and our thoughts and feelings go out to the family.
Totally, yeah.
But moving on to Mass Effect Andromeda and BioWare Montreal being shut down, it just goes to show like how important it is these days to get your game right at launch.
Yeah.
Because all the memes that were created by just how comical that the facial animations were when Andromeda was released, it all ties in, and like it was the laughing stock of the game industry, of Twitter, of memes everywhere for a good week or so. It was absolutely hilarious, and it's important these days to get your game right when you release it. We've been saying it, now they felt the consequences of it. They just kind of have to learn.
It's definitely sad to see a studio go, but when you're a support studio like that, you've got your chance to make a great game, and they were unlucky and they were unsuccessful themselves in executing this game, and they're having to pay the price. EA have been pretty brutal here, but this is what they've got to do. They're the corporation, they're a publisher. They've got a lot of money at stake at all times. Do they decide to invest another however many hundreds of millions of dollars in the studio to make another game that might flop, or just close it and move on? They've taken the latter option. Also in the news, Brendan Green, who's also known as PlayerUnknown, the guy who made Battlegrounds, has admitted he's not really much of a gamer himself. So, despite being the man behind one of the most popular video games around right now, Green admitted in an interview with CNET that he himself doesn't play many games anymore. Back in the day, he played a lot of Delta Force Black Hawk Down, which he played until the final servers died off. But since then, he hasn't played many games at all. Green admits having never played any classics like Zelda because he has no interest in them, and he doesn't consider himself a gaming enthusiast. He even admits to not playing much of his own damn game, Battlegrounds, because he feels if he does play it a lot, then this will have a subconscious effect on the game's development. What does that mean? Well, Green believes that by playing his own game too much, he'll be encouraged to make the game easier for himself, or add things to the game which he might like but aren't necessarily what is best for the community. He also said this week that even if he made the biggest PR disaster of all time, the game would still be finished. So that's interesting. A guy, if you're going to attach your name, your persona to a game, you've really made that game about yourself, and then you come out and say that you don't really like games, you don't really play games that much.
I mean, when he says that even if he makes the biggest PR disaster of all time, the game will still be finished, who the believes him anymore, since he went back on his word not to add microtransactions before the game was released?
The game will still be finished, Fable 3 was finished. Finished doesn't mean shit, really.
Finished as in finished. In other Battlegrounds news, since Twitch plays Pokemon, where Twitch chat users control a game collectively, there have been a number of imitators and spin-offs like this one, which had a couple of goldfish playing Street Fighter. Now someone has taken the concept and applied it to Battlegrounds. Just the other day, the chat-controlled character managed to make it to 3rd place. However, just as victory was approaching, a car appeared and ran over chat's character, cruelly snatching the chicken dinner from their grasp.
How the did they do that? I don't know. That's amazing.
Just camping and hiding. I guess that's
exactly,
one of the optimal strategies to get to 3rd. You can get to 3rd a lot of times by not shooting anyone, I guess. But the way they managed to do it collectively, as in I don't know, how does it work? Where everybody says, I mean, technically,
you guys know?
How does?
Yeah, everyone has to type a letter in, and then that programs it into the game. So like, type in W in the chat, it presses W once.
It still sounds easier than using a controller for a first-person shooter to me.
In other news, now that the atmospheric survival game The Long Dark is finally out of early access, there's been talks of a movie adaptation for the game. Game's creative director Ralph Van Lyrup is attached to write the script, but there's been no word on who will direct or star in the film. It's also worth noting that the adaptation is being worked on by producer Jeremy Bolt, who's best known for his work on the Resident Evil movies. Bolt sounds committed to the project, however, saying it is an existential tale of moral, emotional and physical endurance with strong characters to build on. It is an honour to try to do justice to it on film. But a brief look at Bolt's producing credits doesn't inspire much confidence, so don't get your hopes up about this adaptation. The game itself, though, has been quite successful, with GitHype reporting that the peak concurrent player count rose by over 500% since it left early access. According to GitHype, last month the player count for The Long Dark peaked at 2.3 thousand concurrent players. But when it launched on August the 1st, it managed to hit 14.3 thousand concurrent players, an increase of 522% from the previous month.
So let's talk about the figures then. Obviously, everyone who's bought it in early access was waiting for the single player narrative part of the game, and that's been released now as it's come out of early access, and that's why everybody jumps on the game again, me included. I'm loving it so far, but when it comes to the movie, I think maybe we're jumping the gun a little bit here on the script. There's some snobbery around here in the office to do with movies, and I think I just give him a chance.
He's bollocks, mate. He's not going to do a good film. I can't say it any more honestly than that, to be honest. It depends who else is involved, of course. It's not a lost cause.
Snobs. Now, this story actually happened last week, but we haven't addressed it yet, so here we go. In a poorly thought out move by Sony, they've decided to increase the price of PlayStation subscriptions by as much as 25% in Europe. Sony sent an email to all PS Plus subscribers informing them that the subscription costs will be raised, effective as of August the 31st. This means that a 1-month plan will go from £5.99 to £6.99, a 3-month plan will go from £14.99 to £19.99, and the 12-month plan will be raised from £39.99 to £49.99. This, of course, didn't sit well with subscribers, with most of them accusing Sony of pure greed and exploiting their position as a market leader. Sony also didn't explain why the price of PS Plus is going up, and considering PSN is quite far behind in terms of functionality compared with other online services, this has left people wondering, where the hell's all the money going?
This is the problem when one person gets a good lead or one business gets a good lead in in any industry like this, especially in the games industry. They've got ground to lose and they're just burning, they're scorching that earth. They're like, you know what, yeah, we'll just charge more for PS Plus. It means to us in terms of quality. PlayStation Plus as a service isn't very good. PlayStation Network isn't very good, and it hasn't been for years. Moving over from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, in PlayStation 3, PlayStation Plus was a plus. It was a bonus. You could always play online, but if with PlayStation Plus, you got free games. It was a perk. It was an add-on, right? In PlayStation 4, you need it to play online. I don't know what their argument is. They haven't really put an argument forward. I guess they don't have to, because people will have to pay it if they want to play online on PlayStation.
I mean, with things like inflation, like prices of things go up just on their own. I can see why they might want to raise their prices, because if the price has been the same for years and years and years, maybe their costs have gone up, but they haven't reflected that in the price. I mean, I can see why people get outraged, but things cost more money. You just have to deal with it, don't you? Or just get a PC Master Race card like me, and then everything's free.
Nah, you, Sony. And finally this week, if you're already looking for Christmas gifts, then boy, have we got a good one for you. Video game merchandise has always been a bit weird and wonderful, and the latest addition to the market is an officially licensed Witcher colouring book. The book will feature illustrations inspired by the game, including characters like Ciri, Yennefer, Triss, and the trusty steed Roach. And just in case you're worried, yes, the book does include an image of the Witcher himself, Geralt of Rivia, spread-eagled, naked in a bath. It's quite an image, that, isn't it? Image.
Is that a selling point though? I would
Do you want to colour it in?
I would have thought that like a bigger selling point would have been like the unicorn scene or something. You know, that would have been a better, more attractive proposition for me to be colouring in. You know what I mean? But no, going on the bath, each to their own.
Everyone likes colouring in their porn, right, guys? Porn ain't shit unless you can customise it yourself.
Is it just me? Look at the shading on those tits.
Grabbed my cactus. Alright then guys, what caught your eyes in the news this week? Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy it. You can subscribe if you want to see more videos like this every day. There's a video right there which you can watch now, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.